Hi everyone, welcome to Open Table with Tito. And today I have a very interesting guest, for you today. His name is Otto J. Cohen. He's the founder of C-Suite Financial Partners, a company he sold for over $10 million. He has over 30 years of experience in the finance space and he has done over $500 million in transactions over those 30 years. Please join me as I welcome Otto J. Cohen. How are you doing today, sir?
Great. How are you?
Yeah, thank you so much for being, on this platform. It's an honor to have someone like you here
Thank you.
and speaking to so many people all over the world watching this video.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah, how do you feel? Do you feel great? How's your day today?
Today is great. I feel every day is great. When you're retired, every day is a vacation day.
Yes, beautiful. And you stay in a very nice. You have a very good view of the ocean. How does it feel like living in this kind of area?
There's just nothing better. It's very warm and nice most of the year. We have a nice ocean view. We're close to everything in Los Angeles, so it makes for a good life to live here.
Beautiful. So let's dive straight into it. I want viewers to have a little bit background about you, straight from you. Telling me a brief about your journey, how you started, why finance, and what do you do now?
Okay. Let's see. I can go as far back as 1952 when I was born, but we'll skip ahead a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I had my undergraduate degree in marketing, and that was in the early 70s, and the job market was very tight, and I didn't really want to go into sales, and I looked a little bit at advertising, but I just couldn't see a real long-term path. So I went to graduate school, Washington University, to get my MBA, and because I had the marketing degree, I was able to concentrate on finance, accounting, and quantitative analysis. So from there, after I graduated, I went into public accounting. I got my CPA. So I had an MBA, CPA, and I was off on the right path. So I learned a lot in public accounting, but I knew that wasn't the path that I was going to end up for my career. So I left in my early 20s, like I was 26, 27, and I went to work for General Dynamics, which was an $11 billion company in the St. Louis area, where I originally grew up. That was a really interesting job. I was promoted very rapidly, and when I was 27 years old, I was responsible for all the SEC, the internal, external reporting, and implementation of all accounting policy for the corporation. However, it was a great job, and I really loved it, but I knew that I advanced too quickly, and I didn't have the right experience. So I left General Dynamics for a smaller $200 million New York Stock Exchange company called Diversified Industries, where I really got hands-on experience with manufacturing and understanding about tools and fixtures, running a plant, and getting that managerial experience as well as the financial reporting experience. So eventually I left there and became CFOs for a variety of companies, and moved to California in the mid 90s, and I was a CFO of a high-tech closed circuit television equipment company. And after, it was a very small company, and it was a very slight market. I didn't see a lot of room for growth. So I felt like I had the tools, the finance tools and the accounting tools to do consulting, financial accounting consulting. So I started that, and quite candidly, in the first 9 months, I made more doing that than as a CFO, so I never looked back. So I had several clients, but they were all travel clients. So I merged my practice in with the leading CFO consulting firm, Tatum, at the time, and we developed more skills on the interim process, how to help companies on an interim basis. But they saw that I had some managerial skills where I could do business development and so forth. So they moved me into a managing partner. The company was sold in 2010. I left, started another business with a partner, but for a few years, we we had some differences in how we saw actually how we're going to make money.
Yeah.
And so I left and started C-Suite, and that was in 2015, and I sold it in 2022.
So, like, let me ask you this: you sold that business for how much?
I sold the company for $9.5 million in cash.
Oh wow!
At the time, but there was an earnout that still waiting to see.
Yeah. So wow,
I didn't count on the earnout.
That's beautiful to hear. Like where you were a 9 to 5er. Like you were always, you were CFO of several companies. Then you saw like you had something more in you. Then you had to go start up C-Suite.
Right. The important things, particularly for people who are studying now, is that you want to get well-rounded experiences. You want to make sure you have some hands-on experience, some strategic experience, and finance experience. I was able to handle the computer. So when I first started doing the consulting, I sold myself as a person who could do two people's job in one, where I could do, I knew the accounting and I knew how financial statements should look. But at the same time, I was also able to develop the program, the software, to make it, look good and easy for clients to use. In fact, for several years after I built spreadsheets for companies, they were still in use for a lot of large companies I did consulting for. So they were able to, once I gave them the program, they were able to maintain it and use it and develop more business for themselves.
Beautiful. Let me ask you this: what gave you that knack to go just do your own stuff? Like after working for a long time, you're like, I have this, like, I can start something, and you went ahead and started C-Suite. Why not saying you probably wanted to go get a job or something, but you had the grit to just go and say, I'm going to start this and it's going to work?
That's an important question because what happens is, I live in Los Angeles. I have 4 children. Life in Los Angeles is expensive. So I made a very good salary, but it's still hard to live. And, you can put a little bit in your 401k and develop develop that, but it doesn't amount to enough that when you retire, if I went that route, when I retired, I had to sell my house and move to a less expensive area. I didn't want to do that. So the only way that you could build wealth is to have a company and with an exit.
Yeah.
So when I started C-Suite, that's what I had in mind. That I was going to build a company with the idea that I was going to exit. And from the very start, I developed. I was the leading business development person to bring in the business. What I did is that I trained. I brought in other business development people, as well as trained partners that work for me on business development, networking, and so forth. So when the time came, it wouldn't rely on the sales that I did. When I first started, I was 95% of all the sales. And when we sold the company, and the company was $10 million in sales when we sold it, that I was only accounting for 15% of the business development, where everybody else was accounting for 85%.
Oh, wow.
So when the company that bought us, a public company that bought us, they knew that they could survive without me because I was only a small piece of the business now rather than the whole business. So at the very beginning, it cost me more money to bring on those people I had to pay them commissions to share my relationships. But in the long run, it obviously paid off.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm going to ask you, like, this question. Now you're retired, right? Which is what most people fear. It's like a time where most people are afraid of going into, because you probably are not going to be doing a lot more as you used to do. Now, how did you plan for retirement financially, and how has retirement been for you now?
Well, let me start with the latter part.
Yeah.
Retirement is the greatest thing that ever happened. It's very relaxing. Every day's a holiday. And you just keep very active. I work with a trainer 3 days a week. I get stretched twice a week. I ride my Peloton 30 to 50 miles a week, and I play pickleball 2 to 3 times a week.
Wow.
So I try to stay very active, and I do all the New York Times puzzles and everything to keep my mind active. In fact, usually I wait till midnight because that's when it starts a new puzzle.
Yeah.
And I go to work on them and try to get all those puzzles done before I go to bed.
Yeah.
Remind me what the first part of the question was.
Yeah, it's like the financial part,
Oh,
the finance. Like, how did you how did you plan for retirement? Did you invest in the 401k? What kind of assets did you invest in?
Right. I made a very good living, even in California, while I was working, but it really wasn't enough. I mean, I put the maximum into my 401k every year. And when I started the business, I was able to make distributions and have an investment account. So I could put as much as in my investment account as I could, plus starting the business, but it still wasn't really enough to retire. So my ideal retirement period, my timing was, I was going to figure out how much money do I need that I could replace my salary or the amount of money that I wanted to live on at 4% of what I had invested. So I needed that number to get to, so I don't touch the principal, that I can live on the interest and dividends.
Yeah.
And so, I was making pretty good headway. And if I sold the business, I wanted to make sure that over the next 5 years, I'm going to at least getting the same amount that I would be getting if I stayed in the business all up front. So when I got to that point where I knew what I had to sell the business for to get me that 4%, to continue on my standard of living and being able to stay in the house and in California, that's what I knew when to sell. And it turns out that I did better than I thought. So when I sold the business, I used an investment banker, even though I had that expertise in buying and selling companies and understanding. But I was, it's like kind of like being your own lawyer. You don't want to be your own lawyer.
Yeah.
You don't want to be your own sell your company guy. So the investment banker that I worked with did a great job, and we were very satisfied with the deal all the way around.
Oh, beautiful. Now let me ask you this: like, what kind of assets did you invest in? Like, do you invest in stocks? I know you probably have a little bit of real estate, because this is one of the real estates. It's your house, right? Did you invest in stocks? Did you invest? What kind of stocks did you invest in? And was it just your 401k, or are you heavily invested in a kind of ETFs or something like that?
I'm 73 now, and I was 70 years old at the time of retirement 3 years ago, or at the time I sold the company. So my son is also a wealth manager for UBS. So I have someone to manage my money who has a vested interest in it. So what we decided to do is we balanced it. I'm pretty much 60% in safe, stock, not safe bonds, and other interest-bearing notes, and 40% in equities. And most of the equities are clean equities. Most of S&P 500, and we do very little risk. Low risk profile, because I don't need to develop a lot of more net worth.
Yeah.
Even though my timing has been very good in the market, and it's gone up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But but we're relatively safe, and just kind of a plug for my son that he's done a good job. The only time that we ever go down on something is when I suggest that we need to be in this particular stock because it looks like it has a good future.
Yeah.
And when he tries to talk me out of it, I said, no, do it. It usually goes bad. So I've learned my lesson. So I'm nice and conservative. I have a conservative portfolio where when I was younger and just mostly in the 401k, I was 100% high risk, because theoretically it comes down to, even with the business and everything, if you don't find acceptable risk, you don't get the reward. And when I started the company in 2015, I was already in my 60s, and I put everything on the line to start the company. I borrowed against my house, so if the company failed, I would have lost my house and just about everything we had.
Oh, wow.
But it was a calculated risk, and we knew that we felt that there was very little downside and a lot of upside. So we measured that risk and we took it, and here we are today.
That's really, 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 really huge, and it's so bold of you to take such risk at 60. Like hoping it would probably go well. And I'm glad it did. And my next question is: now you built this company, and it was valued at the time you sold. It was valued around $9 to $10 million. Why didn't you pass it on to generations? Like, why didn't you allow your kids continue to run the company since they were also in finance? Why did you decide to sell?
That's a really good question. The answer is, first of all my 4 kids are very successful in their own fields in their own right. Plus, no one was really interested in learning the business and taking it over. But at the same time, that was a smart move too, because the business, it looks a lot easier on paper than it really is, but you have to really have a strong background in accounting. So when you go talk to clients, you can understand their problems and know what it's going to take to solve those problems, and who the person that can solve the problem and the personality. So though they had the soft skills to do this part of the job, no one was interested in learning the hard accounting skills. But they're all doing very well, and are going to create generational wealth on their own.
Beautiful. And honestly, sometimes we think like passing businesses to our kids is the next line of action to probably continue the business. But most people will probably find, someone within a company who, can continue to build the business and probably can grow it into something way bigger. So why you were building CSU then?
I looked into that before I decided to sell. I was looking for a person who could take over. And after the 3rd false start, I hired 3 people over the time to take a look at it who could possibly do it. And as I worked with them, I couldn't see them taking it to the next level.
Very good.
So the best option was to sell. And as far as the kids go, if I were in their shoes, I'd rather wait for the cash.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful.
I am 73.
Yeah. Beautiful answer. So, leading to my next question is, you have over 30 years of experience. You have an MBA, you have a CPA, and, you founded C-Suite, right? What was that critical gap that you saw at age 16 that you were like, I need to fill this gap? There's a gap. This is the gap in the market, and I need to quickly fill it. And it made you go find, C-Suite.
I knew it really wasn't a gap per se, because I've been in the business for many, many years. What really led me to start my own practice was that having been in the industry so long, I saw the the heirs of the others. Like one of the companies, they required people to buy in. And what ultimately happened is they gave away, there was so much equity out there that when they went to sell, there was just not enough, not enough cash to interest the buyer because they'd have to pay off too many people. The second company like this, I felt that they spent too much. In fact, I was one of the founding partners of this. And one of the things that bothered me is that we had too many offices, and offices are expensive. And you couldn't really grow the business because the expenses were always, the ramp-up rate for an office, it takes, 5 years. You're investing $1 million, and you don't see that for next 5 years or so. So that's why I left and started the practice of C-suite, where we never had an office. We always were virtual, and we really watched our expenses. We spent only money on productive marketing. We did a lot of brand identification. We did a lot of investment in the Association for Corporate Growth, ACG, which is a big networking organization around the country. So we did spend a lot of money, but I felt we spent it in the right places, and we were able to get a return back in with a lot of business, and we grew rapidly, and we were able to bring in enough EBITDA that it would attract buyers.
Oh, beautiful.
In fact, when we sold the company, we had 6 potential buyers that gave us LOIs,
Oh, wow.
letters of intent, and we picked one of them and went with it.
All right, beautiful. So my next question is going to be, of course, starting a business is very difficult, right? It takes so much in starting up a business. And also, I think starting a business at 60 is also more difficult, because you probably don't have the same energy as a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old would have. Now, what is the biggest challenge you faced starting up C-suite?
The biggest challenge you face is the risk. It was very difficult in getting the startup cash.
Yeah.
So what I did is I actually refinanced my house through an unbelievably great mortgage broker, a banker, and which enabled me to actually start the business. And then the next biggest risk, once you're in the business, the biggest risk of the business is people. You've got to get the right person in the right spot, the right chemistry, the right skill set. In fact, of the people that we hire as partners, all of them can do the work for the most part, whether it's the same industry, different industry. Debits are debits, credits are credits. It's not, it's not rocket science. There's some industries that have a little unique things about them, like aerospace, which they have some expertise there.
Yeah.
I never lost an aerospace client, but getting the right talent to have that's enabling them to have some personality, to interact with the client, and merge the chemistries. So we actually had sessions on how to do that. We did practice once every quarter. We'd get together as a whole, and we practice how we present the business, how we talk about it, and so forth. But it is you're only as good as your last complaint.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that differentiated us, I was very picky about who became a partner. We call them partners. They're members of the LLC in the firm versus who we didn't. And so training, making sure everyone's doing the right things, giving everyone the respect and the time, is managing people is the biggest part, other than getting the business. You have to part of this business is relationship building, not necessarily because you don't know who's going to need a CFO tomorrow. So besides meeting CEOs, it's more important to meet service providers, like bankers, CPA firms, insurance people who know where CFO openings are, and they can refer you in to and help you out. And that's the key to the game. That's why networking is so important. I built my whole career, the latter part of my career, more on networking than actual developing accounting skill sets. My skill sets are rusty, except I still spreadsheet a lot.
Yeah, beautiful. Now, you mentioned two very, very, very important things, which is one, it's the people you bring into, the business, like the life of the business. How was recruiting for you, hiring these people? And have you ever hired someone you think you shouldn't have hired?
Yes, we've taken some risks on that. Basically, the successful person in our business usually has a accounting degree, maybe an MBA, has some public accounting experience, has been a controller, and moved up through the financial area and become a CFO. And then the very successful partners in our firm are people who had exits but don't want to retire. And so we've had, out of the 45 partners that we had, I would say half of them meet that criteria. And it's all about, having people that you feel could satisfy clients, not only on a skill set level, but on a personal level as well. Like, I'll give you a bad example of a partner that we had. We had a partner who had a tremendous skill set, very, very good. But he overpromised and underdelivered because he'd always give the client the best case scenario, and he could never meet it. So the client was always upset because he said it was going to be 2 weeks, and now we're 3 weeks, we're still not done. So, you have to anticipate that you're going to run into problems. So when you give a forecast, you just don't give the best case scenario, you give the most likely case. And so, we've had very few partners quit over my time I was there. But we've had some we've asked to leave and so forth. But it's not a guessing game. It's, you can really calculate the probability. And if someone has like a weaker skill set or a little bit younger, I thought they were a tweener.
Yeah.
Not a controller, not a CFO maybe. And we had opportunities for them as well. And so we've trained them, put them in the jobs where they actually were able to come up and eventually become a full CFO. So it's all about develop skill sets and developing skill sets.
Okay, that's beautiful.
But personality is hard to change.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Very, very hard to change. I want to dive a little bit into personal finance. And I want to ask you a little bit about personal finance, because that's what most people struggle with right now. And, especially people who have a 9 to 5, trying to figure out how to save, how to invest, how to, just retire well, right? Because I think planning for retirement doesn't start when you're 50. You probably start when you're way younger, right? So how were you able to structure your personal finance from that early on age? What were the decisions you made? And I know one of it was starting CCUs, which was really a huge risk, right?
Yeah.
But what were the kind of investments you were involved in early on in your young age that kept you afloat and kept you, probably well prepared, well oiled for retirement?
It wasn't that easy, and it wasn't that pretty. Because lots of kids and living here in Southern California is very difficult, as you probably know. But what we tried to do is put as much away in our 401k, my 401k. My wife works; she's a cantor in the synagogue, and they have a pension fund that's like a 401k. So we've always put the maximum we could in that, but that isn't enough to get you through. Particularly here with the high cost of living. So you have to figure out what you need to do to make it happen. If you want to retire, you got to figure out how much money you're going to need in retirement. So, like in my personal case, I have Social Security, at the maximum. I have a small pension from an early job that's, like $500 a month, and then I have my retirement, and I took that, and it's still, if you don't want to touch the principal, you kind of look at it and say, well, I can spend 4% of that. That's going to grow at least 4% a year on average. It's usually more, and so that 4% didn't really cut it. It wasn't enough. So then you have to make a decision. What are you going to do? And if I accepted more risk, and I started the business. And so that's, it may be easier in other parts of the country, but it's very difficult here if you want to stay here and live here. So I probably had enough in my 401k and my all the other stuff to live comfortably somewhere else. But we didn't want to move. So I started the business, and then we sold the business, and we're very comfortable now.
Yeah. I think if I get what you're saying, it's like if you want to live in, Southern California, if you want to live somewhere expensive, then you probably have to do more than your pension account. You probably you need more source of income, before you retire, because your 401k might not be able to afford the kind of life you probably you have if you want to live in SoCal, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and what I've instilled, all my children live in Southern California. What I've instilled in them is that, save for retirement early. They're all young. And so they've all put away a lot of money. Even the younger ones are off to a much better start than I was.
Oh, wow.
I started kind of late. When I realized it wasn't enough, I had to figure out how to make it more. You took the shorter the time period, the riskier you have to take.
So let me ask you this: okay, now you're retired. What are the most exciting things you do? I know you mentioned a couple of them at the beginning. What are you always looking forward to every morning? Now that you're retired, and it's every day is like vacation to you.
Yeah. The best thing about retirement is that you wake up and you look at the clock and you realize the alarm didn't go off. But I think I look really forward to playing pickleball, getting out in the world. I still network a lot. I meet friends from before, meet business acquaintances, business friends. Have a lot of coffees, a lot of lunches. So I still stay connected, and I'm in this pickleball league that's a lot of networking. It's called a founder league, and you have to be a CEO or a founder or investor to be in the league. And so I've helped them find investment bankers and lead them to accountants and that kind of stuff. So, it's still making those connections is still a little bit fun, but it's fun now when you're not doing it for work, but you're doing it for your own time.
Yeah.
And you're having pickleball and doing fun things at the same time. So it doesn't feel like work.
Oh.
So I kind of made it a rule that I wasn't going to ever work for money again.
Beautiful. So let me ask you this.
In fact, this is so far in retirement, this is the hardest thing I've done.
So what's the one piece of non-financial advice that probably relates to leadership culture, that you probably will give to a senior executive level personnel?
I think the two things, I got three things that are really important. Transparency. Even with clients, I always just tell them how much I made, how much a partner made, so they know when they're paying us what they're really getting. And telling the truth. Respect the partners, tell them the truth, even if it's bad or not. And if you make an error, own it, because people want to help you, but if you try to hide it, it goes away. And the third thing, I just lost my train of thought on it.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I think those two things you mentioned are really, very, very important. Transparency is key when it comes to the finance world. You really want to just, be very transparent as possible. I don't know. I'll switch to another question quickly, and which is the um biggest.
I remember the third thing now.
Okay.
The third thing, which is really, really important, is to always respond quickly. Like when someone texts me, and you can probably attest to this, I respond. I get right back. If I get an email or a text, I respond immediately. I had a case where a client sent an email to myself and two competitors, and I filled the position before the other competitors opened the email. So response time, and even if you don't have an answer, let someone know that you got their correspondence and you don't have an answer now, but you're working on it or whatever.
Yeah.
But a quick response gives the other person comfort. And that's one of the things that we're really well known for.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. I think that's something of, that I think needs to, people probably need to imbibe in this generation, because we don't probably respond to emails as quickly as much, because there's so many things, you're doing. There's so many things going on in your devices, but I think that's a great advice, like responding quickly. One question, like next question I have for you is, where do you think the biggest shift is coming in the finance world? Like what area? Now AI is taking over so many things right now, and finance is one of the areas that it's really been affected, because accounting now is probably accounting now is being affected by AI, because now there are accounting tools that's been developed that can do most of the work you probably have been doing those years. Now, where do you think the major shift is coming, and what do you think is the future of finance?
Let me take it from a public accounting standpoint for a second. When the computers really came out, it was very disruptive because people were used to learning systems and client work by doing the work and being out in the field and actually going from one desk to another, seeing how things are being done. When the onset of the computer, it made it a little bit easier. That there's a lot more computer programs. They didn't have to go out and touch invoices and so forth to the extent. Now, the next level of disruption is the AI, because what's going to happen is that all that work, the accounting, the financial accounting work will also be done by automation, and there won't be a person to talk to about it. So what's going to happen is, not only is that, how are you going to check that work? The audit teams are going to have two problems. One, we're going to check that work, but the other is, how are you going to train the new people coming in who are going to be accountants, and who's going to want to be accountants? And you see a little bit of that now. It's harder to. When I was younger, there were 1 million accountants. Everyone was vying for the top jobs at one of the, at the time, the big 8, now it's the big 4 companies in public accounting. But now it's a little harder to get people to want to be in the industry because it's not as interesting as it once was in some respects, until you get to a higher level. So the question is, how do you get to a higher level? So it's going to be new methods of training and new methods of on how you get there. And I don't know the answer to that yet. And thank goodness I don't need to know the answer.
Yeah, I think you're spot on, because so many things are changing.
But it's going to be good if you think about it. Every time there's a disruption like that, like the Industrial Revolution, everyone, the world's going to come to an end because everything's going to be industrialized, and it hasn't. It just, people adapt.
Yeah.
And so what happens is that people adapted to using computers. And so now with AI, people are going to adapt to that as well.
Yes. I think you're you're spot on. Like people are, we probably continue to adapt, to the industry, But one thing everyone keeps saying is like AI will probably come in and just, like take out the entire accounting profession. Like probably we won't need anyone.
I think you're going to need companies will always need people to do strategy,
Yes.
and maybe their jobs will be different, and they're going to have to still manage the people that are there, and manage these new type of jobs, and manage the information, because there's right now and AI is only as good as all the information that's out there, and there's a lot of false information out there already. So I think it'll be you know easily in my lifetime. I don't expect to see huge changes with AI, but down the road, they're going to have to figure out on on how to cleanse the data, and I think they're working on that now.
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, Otto. It's been a very, very, interesting conversation with you. One final favor was going to ask you is that I see so many paintings in your house, right? And I would like, if you don't mind, I'd like to, if you probably can say a little bit of stories about each of these paintings, and we probably just go around and check one of these paintings and say a little bit. I want to know the story behind these paintings around.
Well, there's only, first of all, that there is the TV.
Yes.
Do you want to
show? Should we walk around?
You can if you want.
Yes. Let's walk around and show people.
Let's start by showing the view.
Yes, we would. You want to tell us about this?
That's just a frame TV. When it's not a TV, it's a picture.
That's a picture.
Yeah, you can change the picture. There's like 10,000 pictures. It's a service you pay for. You get all the pictures of like museums and that kind of stuff.
Oh, wow.
So you just don't have to look at a blank TV.
Beautiful. And,
yeah. Let's start with this one back there. Okay. That's an Andy Warhol serial and wow. It's my only good investment in the 90s. And we bought it from the Andy Warhol estate, and they framed it, and they sent it to us in a huge crate that sat. It's in a prior home. It sat on the driveway for 6 weeks before I could figure out how to open it.
Oh wow!
It was that big, that crazy. So that's a good one. This is basically this is just a poster of a very famous Keith Haring painting.
Oh wow! This is beautiful.
And this is a painting by a local artist that my wife was friends with.
Beautiful. Nice. So,
you want to take a picture of the view here?
Yes. Let's go outside.
It's not a perfect day. As you can see, it's kind of cloudy.
Yeah.
But on a normal day, you can see from that side, you can see the Palisades, Malibu, all the way out to Ventura. Here on this side, you could always see Palos Verdes, and on a clear day, you could see both Catalina Islands out there. And as you notice, it's a full bay view. And if you look straight down this way, that's Santa Monica.
Oh, beautiful.
And so
beautiful.
That's when they had the fires, they were all over there, and you could see the flames actually from the house here.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Arthur, for having us on this podcast. You've shared so many amazing things I think everyone can learn from, and it's been exciting, chatting with you. And thank you for spending the last 30 minutes, 1 hour sharing your experience.
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us and hanging out with us. Do well to share, copy the link and share with several friends and family of yours just to learn from Otto's experience. I think we've uncovered a lot of things that can be of great value to you. So do well and share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, my name is Sitobi. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye bye.